It's a very, very hot topic, very strange thing. I think it's a new drug that we're seeing now, EPO, in mixed martial arts, and it's a new problem that's arising, and it's just not right. You know, whatever. I don't know much about this subject. Whatever it does to your body and it helps you, just stop taking drugs, guys, and just fight each other. You know, like, you want to take drugs, go be in the WWE.
We're in sports. A lot of people cheat. You know, it's, you know, Demetrius showed that drugs aren't the answer. You know, a good, talented fighter can still wear you out and do that, you know, and it's, you know, it's good for the sport to be testing everybody like that. You know, if you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat. You know, that's just how it goes. And there's always going to be cheaters. People are, humans are shitty in general. So there's always going to be someone trying to get the upper hand.
Yeah, it's really frustrating at the moment to see these guys testing positive. It's a science. Chemistry is a massive science. I don't know the ins and the outs, but it's always complicated. However, these guys you need to be across it. You need to trust the people that are advising you, and if they're giving you bad advice, and you've got to cut them. You've got to cut them off. But yeah, it doesn't look good on the sport. But the sport, particularly the UFC, are really trying their very best. And this is the thing, things are getting discovered. So that is a positive. As bad as it is, things are getting discovered.
So this was honestly kind of a wake-up call for me, because a lot of the times you see these fighters fighting 5 5-minute rounds, and they're not even winded at the end of the fight. And I'm scratching my head like, I know I train just as hard as these guys are doing. How are they able to pull this off? It's kind of superhuman. And then seeing that, it was kind of a realization that people aren't even using testosterone anymore. They've taken a step past that and kind of started doing the more Lance Armstrong approach to things, which is going to be bad in their futures. We have a chemical makeup, and they're really messing with that stuff. And as you can see, Chael, he's having a lot of trouble with getting his chemicals balanced again.
It sucks to see guys, you know, test positive, but I mean, like right away I was like, I guess I could see it, you know, because people questioned his cardio. And that's something that people take to have better cardio. So I could see, I myself just fought my first 5 5s, and so I kind of like, you know, had to redo my whole game plan as far as like how to prepare for a fight, because we had to think, okay, those are 2 extra rounds. How am I gonna do that? So I could see how somebody would go to extreme measures, but I was surprised, him being from our gym and stuff.
I think it's a great sign for the sport that people are getting caught out for these things now, because for a long time, you know, people have been aware. I've been aware that people are doing growth hormone and EPO, but they weren't testing for it. They weren't able to test for it. So it's just it's going to improve the sport, make it safer, and make it more of a level playing field now that they're catching people out. And I'm happy about that. I'm delighted that that's happening.
Do you know, I'm sure like the UFC obviously done what they thought was right, you know what I mean, or the band, or the commission done what they thought was right at the end of the day. Like, if a year's long enough now, in saying that he's out for a year, then he has to build himself back up again, you know, so I don't think he's going to be in any title contention for probably another 2 years now, you know, 2 or 3 years.
I think, yeah, I'd like to see zero tolerance nearly in that facet. I mean, I don't like to tolerate any cheating. That's cheating. If you're going to that extent to get an edge over someone, you should be kicked out of the sport.
I think whatever the punishment is within each sport has to be consistent. So it's not so much comparing sports, but a case of if that's the punishment given to him for that crime, if you like, within the UFC, that should be the same for anyone else in that same situation. And what I think you see with athletics, for example, is that if you're from a different country, the rules might be different for you than for someone else in terms of if you can do an Olympics, or, you know, like for example, Dwayne Chambers in athletics, the UK can't do an Olympics, yet there's other athletes in other countries with similar penalties who've had similar incidences that can, or so I just think you just need consistency and a consistent message, and something that's punishing enough to stop other people doing it. Is a year enough? Probably not, but it's so hard to monitor these things now, and I think those covering it are ahead of those testing it in some ways. So I just always want to keep the focus on the sport, but I realise these things have to come to light.
As a fighter, a year ban is 3 big paychecks away, plus any bonuses. What you do in that time when you're under contract is very limited. So that's going to hurt someone real bad. A year out, that's going to hurt someone real bad.
I always thought it was enough, you know, but somebody else recently said, I think it was maybe Rhonda or somebody was saying about how this should be longer. And then I thought about it, like in the Olympics, you're banned for life. So I do think if they really want to get people to stop and to put some fear into them, I think random testing, and I think longer bans, maybe 2 to 4 years. But you know, I definitely think the first few people are going to get hit hard, but they're going to just be the example. But I think that a lot more people would start going, you know, I think that's not worth it.
I think a year is a long time in mixed martial arts. I think a year doesn't sound very long, but in MMA, you know, your career can only be, in the UFC, can only be 3 years. So it's a third of your career. It could be longer, but I think there needs to be a severe punishment. I think if it's the first time he's been caught, you know, a year is quite a long time. But if he gets caught again, I think he should be banned for life.